The do's and don'ts of organizing coworkers. If you've been on the subreddit or this YouTube channel before, you'd know that I attempted starting a union at my job before, but failed. I wanted to go over some of the things that helped me and some of the things that hurt me to get something going. Let's get straight into it. First thing you'll need to do is get somewhat friendly with some people at your job. You have to be somewhat sociable to get the ball rolling. And even if you aren't the talkative type, like me, you can still have other people just be comfortable with your presence. The second most important advice I can give you when it comes to this is to act normal and don't be too weird. The absolute most important advice I can give you is remember why you're doing this and genuinely care for your coworkers, even if you don't agree on a lot of things with them. Once you get a decent feel for everyone, you'll need to make sure you can read vibes and see if there's people you should avoid, and if there's people who would definitely be interested in this. You may originally think that this issue is something only Democrats or those on the left would be interested in, but it's an issue that both sides can be motivated toward. At the end of the day, improving your working conditions is something anyone can at least selfishly desire. And every working-class person believes their boss or CEO doesn't deserve the pay they get. This is another reason why I try to focus so much on this issue, because it's something that a lot of people, no matter their overarching political ideology, can get behind. It's just that those in power try to push us against each other on culture war topics, so we don't realize we're all working-class citizens getting screwed over. When you get a good understanding of how most people feel, this is when you talk about your working conditions and pay. I always find that revealing how much I make first greatly increases how much the other person trusts me. It's supposedly something that we're taught is private, but it's very important that our wages are known to make sure no one is being underpaid. When doing this part, you may want to keep conversations off of company-monitored devices, such as Skype, Teams, or Slack. However, if you're just asking general questions about pay and work, and not asking about organizing, unions, or striking, those should be okay to talk about wherever. In fact, these platforms were a good way for me to get the foot in the door for a lot of people I contacted that either worked from home or were in a department I wasn't physically around. After asking surface-level questions about wages, hours, and so forth, you may have found a few people who were very open to talking or expressing ideas, and you might even find people who bring up the union word. This is crucial, and will be when you probably feel the most energized. Try to find about 6 other people who seem invested in making a change, although the more the merrier. It's a risky game, though, and although every state should be protecting its citizens, some states can fire you at will for other reasons they can find. So be sure to be on your best behavior out there so they don't have as much to go on. A risky error I made was I created a survey for coworkers to answer. One of the things a coworker suggested was to make a survey, and so I made a short little Google survey that didn't ask for your email to complete it. I couldn't even see who was completing the survey. I wanted to make sure I wasn't putting anyone at risk. It opened my eyes to see what people were truly thinking, and it came with a lot of pros. However, there was a snitch. I'm still 98% sure I know who it was, but one day our management pulled us all into a room and asked if anyone knew anything about it. My heart was in my ass, but thankfully no one said anything and we left. A few people stood with me and a couple others told me to be careful, and they didn't want anything to happen to me. Some ways to protect yourself is to avoid words such as union, organizing, and etc. Some companies are able to search through keywords on what you've messaged. In fact, there's also been instances where managers will get IT to retrieve your password so they can see everything you sent, even if it's deleted. So although you can use apps like Teams and Slack, do try to keep it to a minimum and suggest texting your coworkers with your personal phones. The ones that were more open talking about working conditions are much more likely to want to continue the conversation, understand the risks, but are still willing to take action. Another thing to help protect yourself is to record everything with management. I didn't record when they pulled all of us into a room, but later that week, the head in our division pulled me into a room and I made sure to record. He stated he was told I had something to do with it, but that he couldn't do anything about it without it technically counting as retaliation, which is true. Although there were no threats or anything being made, it was still important that I recorded the conversation. This brings us to our next point, which is to get in contact with a union organizer. When I told my union organizer that my boss had pulled me in, I gave her the recording, and she helped reassure me that if my boss did do anything, that they have attorneys to deal with a lot of the legalities. Another reason to contact a union organizer is, well, this is kind of the whole point. You want to find a union you think represents you and your company. And depending on how many people are at your company, they'll want to speak with a number of your coworkers. For my job, they wanted 5 other people. I had found about 5 people, but this is where I eventually failed.
Mission failed.
Each time I had enough people who wanted to talk to the union organizer, someone would quit from the working conditions or other reasons. I also had to play things a little quieter since I was already on my company's radar. There were also some shakeups happening with one of the divisions I was working with, and almost no one who worked in that part 6 months ago remained. If I had moved quicker or sooner, I could have actually had a conversation with several people together on unionizing my workplace. Assuming you make it to this point, the organizer will help you reach out to the rest of the company without putting your name on anything and jeopardizing your job. Enough workers at your company will have to express they want a vote, and then the actual vote begins. Throughout this time, your company is sure to try and spread anti-union propaganda. But it's important to remind people that they are working hard every day and deserve to have it easier. Whether it's higher wages, better raises to match inflation, more PTO, or anything else, there is something that isn't matching up. The profit that the company is making is your surplus labor value, and you deserve to reap more of the benefits. I hope this video encourages others to unionize and help assure people that it's okay to try and better the material conditions you and your coworkers share. I've been caught giving out surveys over company apps asking how people felt about unionizing, and I am still safe. They know they can't legally get away with keeping us from organizing. I've made a subreddit, /bite of an ant, and started making videos to just try anything. Even if I'm helplessly scratching at the barrel, I know I have to at least challenge the world for what I want it to be. And I want everyone to do the same, even if it's not the same vision as mine. The system we live under isn't as titanic and impregnable as we think. It's being held up by tape and staples, and through the holes they left, we can find a way to make a change. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Thanks.